Sex workers of Reddit. What's your most awkward encounter with someone? I used to work in a strip club. Eventually getting into escort work. I didn't even do it for that long, but the nature of the business, I have some weird stories. A very simple but weird one. I was meeting a client at his hotel room. Pretty solid client, honestly. I was giving him a blowjob when the door opens. I take my head off his dick. He pushes me back down. A girl walks in and it's his wife. I'm fearing the worst when she starts asking him about their grandkids. Had a full conversation while I was blowing him. Then when I'm finished, she offers me the same rate to give her a massage and go down on her. It was so weird how normal they acted, and I was experienced by that point. The other awkward one was the guy with an adult baby fetish. We never had sex. He would pay me, dress me up like a baby. Then I'd act like a toddler for a couple hours. That was it. I was a stripper in a club close to the border of 2 states. People just traveling through end up there frequently. One night I sat down next to a guy and immediately realized it was my uncle, who just so happened to be traveling through with a bunch of young guys on his crew. Wasn't like some distant uncle I'd never known either. It was the "I've known you my whole life and our families are really close" uncle. We were both quite mortified and he left as fast as he could. I'm just happy I had decided that day to put more of a dress on and approached him before I went on stage again. Otherwise things would have gotten a lot more awkward. XSW here. I think the weirdest one for me was, gosh, there's a lot of context here. So I was kind of sort of dating, hooking up with a girl who was also a worker. She has helped me get into it. I was helping her be more assertive in getting payment. We were bettering each other through our relationship. It was nice. Then she sorta ghosted me for a while and that sucked. Anyway, one day I get a text from her about a guy who wanted to do a 3-way and was willing to pay well. I was honestly just excited to see her. We're hooking up with the guy, who is just thrilled to be in the room with 2 naked girls. But as we're doing the job, we're also just sort of talking it out? Like, bends over to get fucked by a stranger. It's been weeks, you know. If you weren't interested, you can just tell me. But it would be nice to get some closure. While pussy is being eaten well. Honestly, I think I'm a little commitment phobic. I really like you. Just relationships can be hard for me 'cause of my switching positions, addiction and everything. And you came off sort of intense. Grinding on someone, I totally get that. But do you know how worried I was that you had OD'd? I almost considered calling the cops. This is what I'm talking about though. Too intense. I like you, I think I'm just scared of my feelings. Sucks, stranger penis. We went back and forth like this and just sort of discussed our relationship very frankly while servicing a dude. I can't even imagine being the guy in that scenario, but he finished so Sue. We decided to give it another shot. But be a little more casual. Didn't work out long term for so many reasons. But it was really fun in the moment. Edit. Of all the things to have blow up. Thanks for the updates, friends. To answer all inquiries about the guy in the situation. He had a phenomenal time. Never addressed the situation, but we had appointments with him later, so he was a repeat customer. Can't say if he was hoping for more drama or not. My guess is not, but you never can tell. Tip your waitresses well and your sex workers better. Ex-stripper from the early 2000s. There was a guy who would come into the club with this little white Bichon-type dog strapped to his chest in a baby carrier facing out. And he would buy dances with the dog on him. Another time I was doing my signature move during a lap dance. Nipple twisting the customer in the best way, and I realized my aim was off. I was toying with a huge mole. My favorite customer was a nice older widower. He would pay all the curvy girls to cuddle with him in the private booth. Nothing sexy. Just really intimate positions where he was being held. Sweet guy, and he paid full price, $30 per song. I had a friend who a guy paid her to act like a dog. Put a leash on her and everything. He threw money at her every time she barked. I used to be a cam girl and the people that I would meet were so wild. One time I had a guy that just wanted me to watch him vacuum naked. But he was like 75 and overweight with a big nasty beard and had a beer in his hand the whole time. He put his cam in the corner or the room, and every 5 or 10 minutes he would stop vacuuming and come 2 inches from his camera and say, "You still watchin'?" In a super redneck voice. Laugh and I would say yep, and he would continue on. One time I watched him vacuum for 2 hours before I finally became so bored I ended his private chat. It was some bomb-ass money bug that shit will drive you nuts. Second one is on me. I used to party a little too hard, and one night while crashing from a speed bender I decided to get on cam. My laptop was sitting on my legs while I was talking to the room and had about 350 followers. Next thing I know I wake up and I legit fell asleep on cam for like 3 hours. The comments people were sending in the chat were so embarrassing and I literally could have died. Think I made it to like 900 viewers that found it humorous that I was head to the side sleeping, snoring, drooling. Didn't log on for a long time after that grimace. Finally. My time to shine. I was travel dancing in another state at a large corporate gentlemen's club. I was asked by a woman to give her boyfriend a lap dance while she watched. Super common. I do that all the time. I took them to the back room, sat him on the bench and put her on a stool next to us. He seemed super nervous, so I tried to do some small talk with them. But that's when I realized this situation was not normal. He looked terrified. He wouldn't look at me. Only her. She had a super intimidating presence and kept saying stuff in very threatening tone like, "Look at her. She's beautiful. Enjoy it, babe. Because it's the last time you get to do this. No. Please. Enjoy it." And he kept responding, "No. I don't want to. It's okay." And only looking at her. With a legitimately scared look on his face. I ended up not dancing the whole time and just sat and tried to continue the awkward small talk because I refuse to dance on people who don't want me to. But I didn't want to rip them off either, so I finished out the time she paid for. And let me tell you, that time crawled by. It was the most palpably abusive or toxic relationship I've ever witnessed in 10 years of dancing. I don't know if he cheated or went to strip clubs behind her back and she was trying to punish or humiliate him. But it was bizarre. She had the vibe like she was going to beat the shit out of him when they got home. I felt so bad for him. On a lighter note, one time I had an older, biker-looking couple ask me for a couple's dance, so I took them to the back and started to dance a little while I did introductions. Then I asked them for payment. The husband said, "Oh, don't worry, darlin'. I'm gonna trade you so many prison tattoos for this." Yes, he literally said, prison tattoos. I noped out of there immediately. I worked in a brothel for almost a year. And oh boy, so many stories. The most awkward cringe I went through was a guy came in and selected me. He was weirdly awkward and shy as other girls said they had seen him before. And we went up to a room. We have a very strict policy about health checks, so I asked him to take down his pants. He hesitated. I thought, oh boy, he's got something. I asked him again and he finally slowly started to take his pants down. He mumbled, "I may have one pimple," and I said, "Okay, I have to see anyway." Then I see everything. The worst case of warts I have ever seen. In real life or a health book. I couldn't even see his skin. I almost threw up, but I kept it professional and said, "I am sorry. I can't service you today. Have you seen a doctor?" And he mumbles, "Yes." He said it was fine. Eye roll. Then I said, "Sir, you have genital warts. No legal brothel will accept you. You can get a full refund downstairs." I opened the door and waited for him to walk out into the hallway. He stood there for the longest time before pulling his pants up. It was agonizingly awkward. He was going red. I kept it friendly and walked down the stairs after him. This is where it gets worse. I went to reception with him and had to stay by his side as the receptionist tried to refund him, but the machine had broken. I had to explain it was a failed health check and he was even more embarrassed. I was dying inside. Luckily the receptionist saw my discomfort and she told me to go back to the back room. I watched on the camera as his card was declined or vice versa. It was a full 10 minutes before he left. It's not the worst experience, but definitely the inward cringiest. Then we wiped down everything he touched. I used to do a lot of phone sex. One morning I was awoken around 0600 by a phone call from one of my regulars' lawyer, asking that I sign a contract obligating me to effectively be her emotional support animal, internet boyfriend, therapist for a certain number of hours a week. Not sexy talk, mind you. Emotional reassurance and anxiety-soothing stuff. Yikes. I'm a pretty well-known sex worker. This is my alt account. I have quite a few stories, but this one stuck with me the most. I had a guy Venmo $50 to add him on Snapchat. And he said would Venmo me money every day to talk to him. I agreed because it's money in my pocket. I'd be stupid to turn that down. Well, I added him on Snapchat and I saw he already sent me a video. I opened it up to find a minute-long video of him heavily fucking his pillows and sheets. The video was taken from behind. As it seemed he propped his phone up, so all I saw was his hairy ass in incredible detail on my phone screen. Saw some asshole too. And it was clearly not cleaned very well. It haunts me to this day. Edit. Clarification, typos. Former dominatrix. I think the strangest thing I've ever done that I could think of was show up to an appointment where a heavy-set middle-aged man was already in an adult diaper and costume pig nose when I arrived. Then ate out of a toilet bowl filled with Fruit Loops and piss. This thread has triggered some buried memories for me. I could write a book. One that I had long forgotten about. I was working a nice suburb of DC. The guy came to my hotel room and he looked and seemed normal at first. Then he told me that he's a germ phone and asked me if it was okay if he wore a special suit that he had made. He had a latex suit with a hole cut out and he had a bottle of rubber cement to attach the suit to the condom. Essentially making a body condom. I had some strange encounters in NYC, but I don't have mental energy to type them out. The girls I paid for would probably say me. I just wanted an honest answer about how small my dick is, but they all dodged the question, so really they made it awkward. I once got with a guy off a sugar daddy website who had two main kinks, water sports and long foreskins. I kind of understood where the latter came from, as he was culturally Jewish and therefore circumcised. But I found it really quite awkward bragging about the length of my foreskin. You know? Never an SW. But when I worked regular security, they were always side jobs working for strippers available. I'll do my funniest and scariest. Funniest was working a job for an obvious Latino gang celebration. We had 3 guys for security of 4 girls. Plus 2 rather intimidating gentlemen of the organization that were volunteering their time to make sure everything went smoothly. A wife, girlfriend of one of the partygoers became extremely upset to find out that a male family member was at the party. So this tiny 5'0" Latino woman is screaming bloody murder at this teenager while he's getting a lap dance while one of their guys and one of ours keeps her from hitting anyone. At this moment, one of the girls comes out of the quote-unquote private room buck naked and informs us that her client had diarrhea shit the bed. Angry 5'0" doesn't miss a beat. Instantly consoles the young lady while showing her to the shower to clean up. Scariest moment was at a frat party. 2 security and 2 girls for about 2 dozen drunk horny college athletes. One of the frat boys smacks an ass. Gets told by the girl not to touch. Smacks her in the face and gets tasered immediately by my boss, Buddy, who got me the job. My boss dropped his taser and has his sidearm out as 12+ angry drunk dudes are yelling. The girl who got smacked has also grabbed my boss's holdout while all 3 of us slowly back out of the house. Second girl has collected the bags and has the car running by the time we're able to get in. They were throwing beer bottles and cans at us as we drove away. This was less than an hour into a 6-hour booking. I'm not too proud to admit it, as soon as I understood we were safe. I cried like a baby. Both strippers, still mostly naked at this point, and my boss consoled me. Found out later my boss went back to the house the next day with 6 friends and collected all of the miscellaneous items that were left behind. Don't know if this classifies me as a sex worker. But roommate's friend paid me $300 to fuck her. She was paying so she got to decide what we did. Nothing weird. But I really enjoyed it. Super awkward, though. Not a SW, but did do it for a short period a long time ago. Weirdest encounter was the creepy scoutmaster with rows of pop bottles in his hallway. Who had me suck him while he drank tea from one of those 70s brown glass cups and complained about how much I was charging. He sounded exactly like Ken Livingston, too. So I think it's safe to assume Op made a sex worker super uncomfortable and now he wants to feel better about himself. I'm an online adult content creator. Very new to it. Recently one of my neighbors found out and has not been shy about making me aware she knows too. The other night I was up late in my media room, which is at the front of my house. and I started receiving notifications that there was someone in my driveway. I ignored it at first, thinking maybe it was another one of my neighbors coming home late from work. But the notifications kept coming. I checked the one camera. And no word of a lie, the neighbor in question was creeping around out front of my house. I had my blinds drawn, and the glow from the TV attracted her. With her hoping to see me naked, creating content. She literally hung around the front of my house like a zombie from Resident Evil for 10 minutes before I called her out for being creepy. I will admit, it's my own fault for allowing myself to be caught by her on a few occasions in full view. Naked in my kitchen, dining room, she could see over my back, side fence. And also wearing a G-string on my backyard hanging up the laundry. However, this latest event is starting to get on my nerves. Attached to some of the footage of her creeping down the street and trying to see through my window undetected. Neighbor trying to see me naked. How do I even get a sex worker? Is there like a state hotline? Not a SW. But very recently found out one of my best friends is dating a legitimate porn star. Like he's gonna be in my wedding and PS will also be at my wedding. They haven't been up front, understandably so, and I'll never confront and get in their business. They seem super happy and their business is their business. Never thought I'd be in a situation like that, but it's a smidge weird knowing that info. I'm very fortunate to have the personal feelings of, your life is your life, and just let them be. Where a great majority of my family would probably shun them. I got paid a little for sexting. And let me tell you, there was a lot of ladies I was very concerned for. One particular we role-played about incest, surprisingly her most mild kink. Stabbing her womb with a needle multiple times. Using blood as lubricant. And breaking her bones before, during, and after. Luckily, unlike most clients, she doesn't want to try and meet me IRL. And I am relieved I could save myself from that talk. But the rest left me in therapy on that for a while. I also realized I've never talked about when I used Yobi paid to do RP sexting. I remember the cool moment where a client wanted to do it over sending voice messages. She was awesome, hands clapping. I asked my friend this question. They said it was their white client dropping the N-word as part of a kink. One would hope that this was discussed beforehand, some people are into that. But as always, consent is key. But it was completely out of the blue. Sex was not had that night. And good riddance. I find most of the messages, emails involved to set up meetings cringe-inducing. Many of the guys will try to dirty talk you in very embarrassing ways. And over here I'm matching whatever energy they bring while feeling the exact way you do when you email your boss or coworkers. I live for the clients who talk to me as if they're scheduling a tattoo or dentist appointment. In fact, I only find that type of guy to be actually attractive. Because I imagine he's a chill, mature, good dude. The daddy's little hole slut babby dummy TCC dudes are goofy as fuck. A specific awkward moment I can recall besides that is one client gifting me his self-published book of advice. Though for some godawful reason I kept it and let that thing follow me through 3 moves. So I go to hook up with this hot guy, by that I mean man about my age. Early 20s at the time. Turns out he is loaded. The only thing that made it awkward is he wanted to pay after I was already there on my own accord. Because he wanted to record for a personal collection. He also did not want to use a condom and wanted to finish inside me. He showed proof of a STD test prior. For all I know, I am on some site somewhere. It would not matter because it was filmed in such a way there are no identifiable features. Well, it was great and I would have done it for free. But I think he just had too much money, so he gives me $1,000. Figured it was just a rush. But he'd hit me up again. Happened once more before I told him to lose my number because I got a boyfriend. I regret that part. Only reason it became awkward. That got me into the game and I met a very rich businessman from Japan. My friend introduced us and I then introduced him to another friend. So he was seeing all of us. It got weird because I find out he pays one friend more and confront him. He asks if I really think I am worth that much. That was awkward and I haven't done SW ever since. I miss making thousands in a day though. Forgot to mention he'd also comment on my age, weight when I saw him. That made things awkward for sure. Even though I'd say something like, a lady never reveals her age. He'd show me these workouts that are common in Japan and fed me healthy meals. He was honestly a lot of fun and I do miss him. But pretty sure 30 would be pushing it for his taste lol. He also had the best weed and would roll his own joints in these kawaii wraps and give me bubble baths. I think he paid my friend more because she was also Asian and was the one who introduced us. Okay, one more. I fell for someone and did not realize he was paying me for my time. He would book flights for the same day. Would throw me money and do all these fancy things. But I was a secret. Really awkward when I thought a paid transaction was a real relationship. Also I was hot and he was not. So that made it hurt more. He was too smart to like someone all beauty and zero brains. Sadly I turned down a lot of money because I wanted it to be love. I keep forgetting I have others. So within the last couple years I get approached by this guy in a Ferrari. 30s. Slick back ponytail. I'm wearing a backpack and he'd offered me a ride. For some reason I say yes. Turns out he thought I was a minor and offered a buttload of cash to have a good time. I in no way looked like someone who is down. I said no because I was out of the game and pretty sure he was coked out. Had him drop me off at Trader Joe's. I'd get back into it if I could. I was doing my first live Skype session. Baked as hell and I turn on the cam and see an old DDD man with his dick already out. His voice stood out to me the most BC, it was quite raspy and creepy. He kept calling me, sweepy, darling, etc. Anyways I had to dip out of there immediately when I like how young you look escalated to you look like my daughter. I have not done live sessions since. One of my university teachers used to be a murder detective and he told us about one time when he was investigating the death of a sex worker. They were talking to some of the other prostitutes who knew her to see if they ever had anyone strange hiring them. One girl said that every week this guy would hire her and they'd go back to his house so that she could tie him up naked to a chair and throw cream cakes at him. I was a stripper while I was in law school. I was at work one night and saw some of my male classmates. I was mortified at first but tried to play it cool. Then after a few minutes, one guy said, "OMG look, isn't THQT Professor asterisk?" And turns out our torts professor was sitting across the room by himself rolling on the floor laughing. Older man was looking for a lady for the evening and ended up picking me up. He got a hotel room. Insisted I shower. Then put on flannel PJs he had apparently already bought and had with him. Also painted my nails. No sex. No drugs. Held me until we fell asleep and paid for it when I got dropped off. Definitely not a usual evening but not at all bad. I'm a prostitute by the way. Not me but one of my friends. She encountered her old AP Chem teacher from high school. Had a customer who would always request to buy used condoms from me after I'd had sex with another dude. He'd pay around $500 each one for me to mail them to him. I asked him once what he did with them and he said he would eat the cum. I found it hilarious but also wanted to puke at the idea of him eating another man's old cum. Not a sex worker but this guy paid me $5 for a video of me cutting my bangs. And then said he'll pay me $100 if he could put a cape on me and give me a trim. Once I pooped on a client by accident. He took me to Chipotle beforehand. It wasn't my fault. Let me answer for several sex workers in Amsterdam. Meeting that guy John a few years ago. Was on video call with 2 clients and I cut my foot open on glass from a broken mirror. I was extremely new to sex work and was super embarrassed so I just limped around wincing and covered in blood pretending nothing had happened. They couldn't see my feet. I ended up getting scammed. Edit. Or the time I pissed my bed on camera for $15. I cannot wait to see the replies under this. Bruh, someone upvote this so I can come back. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.